Ayan na mga kameta. Kamusta kayo dyan? Kamusta kayo dyan? Kamusta kayo dyan? Kamusta kayo dyan? I just feel na this vlog was kinda coming sooner or later, no? At itong catch-up natin dito sa issue ng, well, I mean, how are things shaping up as early as now for 2028? Booyaka siya, no? So obviously, let's just say it, the common wisdom, no, is that the current Vice President, Sara Duterte, was very, very important to the victory of the current president slash vlogger slash Magellan Jr. in the 2022 elections. Well, she's essentially shoo-in daw. That's the common idea for 2028 elections. But ako naman, having closely observed how unpredictable Philippine elections can become, I mean, sino nag-akala na si Pinoy ang maging presidente noong 2000, forget about 2000, 2006, 2009, even up to, the final quarter 2009 when very few would have thought that Benigno Aquino would be a front runner down the road and eventually the president of the Philippines and one of the most popular based on the numbers. And who would have thought that Duterte would become the president if, very clearly on the record, marami tayo, up to the third quarter of 2015, there were dismissals of Duterte. Now, obviously, in the latest presidential elections, medyo predictable ang nangyari kasi nagsama yung House of Duterte and House of Marcos. But the fact of the matter, mga kameta, is that the idea that someone is shoo-in for an election 6 years down the road, come on, guys. I don't think you know about history. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I still think that Sara Duterte is a front runner to become the next president of the Philippines. But she was also a front runner to become the president back in 2022. That doesn't really mean much because, in a sense, because once the race starts, it's a completely different ballgame. No? At yun ang, of course, isang topic na babalikan natin over and over again throughout the years, especially as we get nearer also to the midterm elections, which will give you some idea about who also can become the presidential candidates in 2028. So as early as now, let me make it absolutely clear that the breakout star of Philippine politics, if it were Vico Soto and Isko in 2019, I would say when it comes to 2022, 2023, first 6 months of the new administration, the breakout star is not the president, right? Nasaan ba? Siguro masarap ang, ito, kamusta pala dyan, mga kanan natin, ka-Unity. Ayan, masarap siguro ang onion soup, lalong-lalo na malamig ngayon sa Davos, Social, Switzerland. No, ito, seryoso tayo mga kameta. Hindi, seryoso naman talaga tayo. Saan na tayo? Tuloy na-distract ako sa sarili ko sa circumnavigate the world. No. I mean, let's be honest. When it comes to the past 6 months, the big star of Philippine politics is someone that we have known for quite some time, but not necessarily as a kind of a swashbuckling, but quite effective, quite sharp, and quite on the point, senator, And in this case, I'm talking about, of course, Tulfo, Rafi, di ba? And dami na naman kapatid, no? I mean, all the juristic, of course, na-interview natin si former Secretary Erwin Tulfo last year. We had the pleasure of that. Let's see kung makausap din natin the other Tulfo brothers throughout the months and years. But without the question, mga kameta, Rafi Tulfo, Senator Tulfo, he is the breakout star of Philippine politics. And it's not like I'm totally surprised. It's not that not at all. But, ganito kasi. By the way, let me be absolutely clear. I'm not a fan, or I was not a fan of the whole Tulfo brand of justice. In fact, the other year, I had a brilliant student who wrote a very good paper. Very few papers that I gave really like highest grade kasi ang linis ng pagka-argue na, no? Ako kasi great students, not necessarily because I agree with them or not. I look at the evidence they provide and how they argue it. Ang linis, ang ganda ng ginawa na paper. And it was a kind of an analysis of the Tulfo brand of justice, no? So I'll say as far as I'm concerned, throughout the years, I had many concerns. Naabutan ko yung mga times na taxi tayo ng taxi. Naabutan ko yung mga times na tumawag si one of the Tulfo brothers, no? Pinagalitan yung isang amo, yung pala may kasalanan yung katabi niya. Di ba? Yung parang, saan yung due diligence minsan? Or minsan parang, trial by publicity ang labas, di ba? But, in fairness naman, for perhaps every error that they made throughout the years, sa daming kaso na kinover nila, I also understand that there's something about the Tulfo brand of doing politics that really appeals to the Filipino people because it fundamentally deals with what can be best described as political voluntarism, right? And the idea of political will is connected to that. The idea is this: forget about institutions, forget about rule of law, forget about due process. Ang solusyon sa lahat ng problema ay isang malakas na tao. And considering we're quite a conservative country, traditional country, and the idea is you gotta need a macho man to get things done. So kung matapang ito, palaban ito, goes after the wrong guys, things are gonna happen. In fairness naman, to our country, we have also had female versions of that. Of course, the late Senator Miriam Santiago was a huge hit in every sense of the word, almost became the president in 1992 dahil nga dun sa matapang style niya, no? So going back to this, mga kameta, going back to this, there's really something about the Tulfo way of doing things, yung tapang, yung macho, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of authenticity, there's a lot of honesty and genuine and sincere care that you can at least see. At least this is the projection. Now, of course, I'll give the benefit of the doubt, and I believe that perhaps really they have the best intention because you cannot do this thing for year after year kung pa-show lang yan, pa-cute lang yan, pa-pogi lang yan, no? So, I would give the benefit of the doubt that I think this is really sincere, and this is something that appeals to the Filipino mindset. In a way, if you look at it, Tatay Digong was kind of an amateur version of this, right? The Tulfos were always a nationwide, if not international, version of this macho leader, get things done because matapang siya at may political will siya. Yung ganyan, wala, si Tatay Digong eh. Actually, nung nanalo si Tatay Digong, sabi ko, nauna nga yung mga Tulfo sa ganun. I mean, of course, si Tatay Digong, sikat na siya sa Davao, Mindanao context, but nationally speaking, the Tulfos were perfecting already this, let's call it the politics of discipline, right? Or disciplinary politics, no? This kind of macho guy, get things done, kaaway niya yung mga walang hiyang mga opisyales, walang hiyang mga oligarchs, walang hiyang mga di ba? Yung mga abusadong amo, yung ganun. So there was really something that was very appealing about the Tulfos. Now, nonetheless, of course, marami sila kapatid, and each of the brothers have their own strengths, merits, and some would say the merits that they bring to the table. But many would say that as far as the Tulfo brothers are concerned, the current senator is perhaps arguably the most charismatic. Although I think Mon Tulfo would have also done well had he run for the Senate, no? Anyway, hindi ko alam kay Ben Tulfo. Let's look at the surveys. But I think kay Mon Tulfo, he was doing also well in the surveys a few years back. Now, going back to this, it looks like as far as the current Senator Tulfo is concerned, he's very charismatic. People have met him behind the scenes, know that he can speak to different audiences in different cadence. He can adjust to different audiences. Kung medyo elite yung audience, he can talk to them accordingly. Kayang tapatan, kung masang kausap, kayang tapatan, kaopisyalas. So he has this kind of cognitive dexterity, which is one reflection of leadership and also a reflection of charisma. Because charisma is about the ability to appeal to different people at different levels almost simultaneously. That's a big part of charisma. That kind of spectral dexterity, no? Anyway, okay, mamaya na tayo, baka mamaya ma-Andrew Tate tayo dyan. You get what I'm saying, right? Balikan natin yan. May sasabihin na naman ako mga top G. Mamaya tayo dyan. Ito, mga kameta. Ito talaga. So there's something about the Tulfos that has always made them very attractive to the Filipino psyche. Especially because napakadaming kapalpakan sa ating gobyerno. Especially because we don't have educational institutions that really inculcate this understanding that good governance is strong institutions, not strong men. So having said all of that, this always benefited the Tulfo brand. But in fairness kay Raffy Tulfo, he's really genuinely very charismatic and looks like a very sincere guy. So the question was, what was he gonna do once he's in Senate? Now, one of the surprising things in the last election is that hindi siya yung nag-top ng race. Everyone was expecting that, but boom, Robin Padilla ended up as topping the Senate race. Robin Hood Padilla. But even Robin Hood was surprised with that. Now, si Robin Hood, may mga moments siya, noong una palaban and all. But let's be honest, it's really, really Senator Tulfo who has been dominating it. I mean, you go to YouTube, you go on social media, alam na mga kameta natin yan. Alam ni Mark Gamboa yan, idol na idol niyan. There's a whole cottage industry of just showing yung mga videos ni Tulfo and then commentaries on that. Hindi ko pa nagawa yan, but maybe I should start doing that too. Parang this is a whole subspecies, no? This is whole subculture. This is a whole genre, let's just put it that way, as far as political commentary or pseudo-political commentary is concerned. So, sobrang interesting ito mga kameta. So, my point is, if I were to bet now, I would say actually, front runner for 2028, if I were going to ask, is I think Tulfo. I think he's a front runner. Is he going to win? Of course not. I mean, of course not in the sense that, of course not, we're not sure. But is he a competitive one? Definitely, definitely, definitely. And for me, again, maybe I'm just putting the cart before the horse or whatever. Sige lang. Pero para sa akin, I can already imagine sino pwede maging vice president yan. Advance mag-isip talaga, no? No, ako, ang perfect na itapat sa kanya is someone like Lacson, not necessarily Senator Lacson, but someone like Lacson who has real experience in dealing with security agencies, someone who was very familiar with the legal procedures, with rule of law, similar to him, but someone who's much more the pro version, kasi medyo more freestyle mga Tulfos, especially Senator Tulfo also. But one person I can think about is, again, this is not a political endorsement. Wala akong stake dito, personal, anything like that. But I think Mayor Magalang of Baguio would be a very good match for Tulfo if ever he runs for the highest office. Because it will be a very nice combination of a great LGO leader, PNP background, smart guy, malinis, calibrated, ganon. And at the same time, you have Rafi Tulfo, matapang, freestyle, macho and all. I think that will be a very strong combination. Magalong Tulfo. This is really one I'm looking at. At the same time, of course, I have praised Magalong as part of a separate genre of leader of good governance beyond partisanship, and I put Vico Soto here. But of course, Vico Soto is still not in the conversation for the presidency because he's, well, dahil sa saligang batas natin. Hindi tayo katulad ng ibang bansa na pwede ka maging presidente kahit 30s ka pa. Yung iba pa nga 20s pa lang nagiging presidente na, di ba? So this is what I'm looking at. As early as now, I'm seeing Tulfo and Magalong as a very good potential tandem. And tandem that really builds on some core strengths that I think very much appeals to the Filipino people. Again, mga kameta, I am not endorsing anyone here. I'm just looking at the alignments that are coming out. Now, there's another thing that is also helping very much this whole Magalong, Tulfo and even Magalong to a certain degree. And nakita natin recently si Mayor Magalong came up with some public statements kasi inattack siya ng elements, alam niya na sino mga yan, di ba? Attached to the former president, and alam niya na yung mga yan, di ba? Iba, most wanted. Ganun. Wag na tayo pumunta dyan. Okay, anyway. One thing that is really helping the Tulfo brand right now, mga kameta, and also the Magalong brand, I would say, by extension, or actually in parallel, to be fair, is medyo parang rudderless yung situation natin sa Pilipinas. Parang who's in charge? Nasaan ng presidente? Diba? I mean, grabe. Diba? And this for me is perfect for the Tulfo Magalong types because they look like hands-on guys, micromanager experts, people who know yung mga pasikot-sikot na mga issues, kilala nila sino yung mga smugglers, kilala nila sino yung mga walang yang dyan, diba? Mga balasubas dyan, mga ganon. That's where they have a strength. Because let's be honest, President Marcos Jr. is not that kind of person. Oh, he's a kind of micromanager. Let's be honest. I mean, come on. Honestly. He's not, right? He's not. Whether it's good or bad, we can debate about it. But he's not, right? And this is where I think the more that there's a sense that who's in charge, we need a decisive response, yung Sabuyas problem, etc. This is what I think really benefits the Tulfo, Magalong, these kinds of brands. Although I don't see them necessarily as one genre, but I think they'll be a very, very good tandem together. So, in a way, mga kameta, alam ko marami mga followers ni Lenny dyan. Huwag kayong magalit. For me, even if you were followers of Lenny, you would still be happy by this development. Bakit kamo? Well, you can guess the first reason, right? We don't need to spell it out. The second reason, let's jump right away there. Mabilis naman kayo mag-isip. Alam niyo yung sinasabi ko. No, the second reason is, well, Tulfo can beat the other side if ever he goes for it. If he keeps his current momentum and plays his cards well. So he needs a very good team. He needs a very alam niya na talagang alam na this, diba? But more than that, you see, it's also good because when Tulfo attacks the administration or shortcomings of the administration, when he does, it's not like he does it every time, but when he does, it's hindi na siya nahahalo nung old debate of liberals versus Marcoses, Dilaw versus... No, hindi. It just looks like someone who cares and knows what he's talking about, saying that ito yung problema, kailangan natin ayusin, di ba? And ironically, sometimes you have no less than Amy Marcos. So, sumasabay ka converge yung mga kritisismo nila dyan sa Senado, di ba? I also, of course, we also like the fact that Senator Tulfo is calling out certain people who have not been called out. Huwag na tayo sa land grabber. Okay, anyway, balikan natin itong issue na to. If you're a supporter of Lenny, actually, you'd also like it because just Tulfo being in the mix makes the 2020 race so competitive that Lenny might actually have a chance, right? So, ganito if Lenny runs for Senate in 2025 and Lenny ends up in top 3, right? Which is not impossible. It's more probable than not. And some of the preliminary surveys suggest that she can easily be in top 5. I think top 3 is doable. Who knows, even higher. Amy could also be in the top 3. Amy could even run for the presidency herself. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be very interesting. So in a competitive multi-character, multiple competitive candidates, Sarah, Tulfo, whatever, actually there's more chance for Lenny to win, right? But even if Lenny doesn't run and she's out of the picture, I think Tulfo can also bring something to the table that could make 2028 race very interesting. Now, syempre sasabihin na niyo mga kameta, 2028, ang layo naman yan, ikaw na masyadong mag-advance. No, you know why? You see, in game theory, there's a concept called shadow of the future. The players' behavior today is always shaped by their calculation of what can happen tomorrow. So, the alignments that can happen in 2028 very much shape what's happening today and vice versa. You know, to use the social science term, it's mutually constitutive, no? Hindi na ako mag-Hegel and dialectics, but you get what I'm saying. The reason why this is important because expectations about 2028 are gonna shape what's gonna happen in 2025 and even before that, right? And that's why, of course, if you're Sarah, you want people to feel that, you know, to think that you're really a shoo-in because that makes her stronger, right? So this is my point. This is my point. The rise of Tulfo as the breakout star of Philippine politics. Hindi ko pa pinag-usapan yung mga ginawa niya sa PAL, sa Cebu. Just the rise of Idol Tulfo, no? I think makes Philippine politics very, very interesting, right? As I said, and I'm saying as someone who's not necessarily a fan of the quote-unquote Tulfo way of brand of justice, etc. You know, but I'm talking about Tulfo as a senator. I'm not necessarily talking about the whole, you know, style of Tulfo way of approaching kapalpakan, abuses, etc. As I said, I see good intentions. I see a lot of hits, but there are also some misses. I'm someone who believes in due process, in rule of law, you know, in strong institutions. But let's be honest, those are kinds of concepts that are too abstract for a lot of people, especially when people are facing abuses and problems on a daily basis right now. So, etong sasabihin ko mga kameta, Tulfo is definitely a top contender for 2028. And as early as now, he must be prepared for people going after him precisely because many are beginning to see him as a strong candidate for 2028. And just the fact that he could be a top candidate for 2028 makes 2028 far more competitive than many people expect. And even if you don't support Tulfos, you're supporter of Lenny and all, you would still welcome it because it makes the race much more competitive, right? You could have a 3-way, 4-way race. No, Tulfo can get a lot of supporters of Bongbong to go for him. Even some supporters of former President Duterte to go for him. Even some supporters of Lenny probably. But Lenny can also, you get what I'm saying? And let's put Lenny aside. Riza could also be in the mix. So what I'm saying here is that the field is becoming much more fluid and competitive. And for me, as someone who wants competitive elections, wants good elections, wants real fight for the top prize, and wants the voters to have a wide range of options before they make their final choices, I welcome this development without necessarily endorsing anyone. And I'm saying as early as now, I see Magalong as a potential tandem for him. Although, of course, things will depend on what's going to happen in 4 or 5 years. There are going to be many considerations dun sa tandem. Of course, regional distribution, etc., funding, finance, resources, and all. But I really see this Magalong-Tulfo tandem, at least as of now, very interesting. And as early as now, we can see that Magalong is also coming under fire by certain quarters because they also see the potential of Mayor Magalong. So I'll keep it there, mga kamet. I wanted to talk more about yung PAL issue, etc., Sibuyas. But I just felt this kind of freestyle discussion of what's this whole Tulfo phenomenon all about. I think this is very, very important. This is very, very important. So don't be surprised if I'm going to have more Tulfo discussions. If not here, mga kameta, sa Facebook, I'm going to have more dyan sa YouTube or on my podcast, etc. Babalikan natin yan and also discuss this with other mga ano natin, mga vloggers friends natin, no? So that's what I'm saying, no? I'm generally ambivalent with the Tulfo way of doing things, but Senator Tulfo so far has been without a question the breakout star, and by and large, I'll give him very high grade so far. So far, again, no. But this is not necessarily political endorsement. Let's be very clear. I don't do that. All right. Okay. Mga meta, yan na. I'm gonna get into trouble for this. Woo! Ito na, ito na! Natutuwa na yung mga ibang ano natin dyan, mga vloggers dyan. O, bahala na kayo mag-quote-quote dito. But here I am, saying it on the record, Tulfo is a top candidate for 2028 presidency. As early as now, I can say that. So as early as now, he has to be prepared. And as early as now, expect people going after him because he's going to be seen as a threat. But I'm very confident he can handle himself and he's going to be strong, just not too strong, right? And he has to be careful about it. And as I said, even if you're not support Tulfo, you're going to welcome it. Because that will make race more competitive and give chance to others who could be the third force, including no less than Lenny, who could still win the Senate, top position in Senate. He could still be in the mix. I mean, Anwar Ibrahim of Malaysia, who's now the Prime Minister, he has been gunning for that position for almost 30 years. I lost count of how many elections he has lost, but finally became Prime Minister. So the idea of you losing once and not becoming the president, I don't think it works anymore. Si Bongbong nga, natalo VP, naging presidente pa with biggest mandate. I'm not gonna go to the rest of the discussion on both sides of the debate, but you get what I'm saying, right? Basta guys, I'm telling you, things are getting very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, no? So expect me to follow more on the whole Tulfo discussion and all. Gusto ko talaga yung yung ibang ginagawa nila eh. Tama eh. You know, fiscalizer. Yep, Tulfo is now the fiscalizer as far as the Senate is concerned. Of course, Riza Ontiveros has been doing that consistently. You know, the thing with Tulfo though is he's doing this from the center, from the political center, right? So he's credible to almost both sides right now, which puts him in he's in a sweet spot. Yun po yung point natin ngayon. Alright? I'll keep it here. Thank you very much mga kameta. Sorry, may mga tatawag na sa atin na ibang interviews naman and all. Ito. Hindi ko pinapansin sa record. Tingnan ko lang, mag-thank you lang ako dito. Alright, mag-thank you na tayo mga kameta. Thank you tayo dyan sa mga nagbigay na support and star dito sa YouTube. Thank you very much sa lahat ng mga supporters natin. Barbara, Ashmakel. Thank you kay Eric Javier. Kay Josie Vergara, yan. Thank you very much kay Carol Fortich for joining us. Neil Sant, dami daw nagmamal kay Tulfo. Yeah, I mean, Tulfo can tap into different constituencies simultaneously. And I think the more people see the sincerity and the commitment, the more he's gonna gain political momentum and all. But as I said, 6 years is a long time. 5 years rather, is a long time. Things can still change. But as of now, suddenly 2028 doesn't look like a shoe-in for a certain person. Of course, alam niyo na siya. Alright. At yan ang pinakagusto natin sa politika. Exciting. Alright? Exciting and unpredictable and hopefully in a good way this time. Ayoko yung unpredictable na tatay style. Alright? Ayan, thank you kay Riz Annie, Eden Olonan, as always, Jocelyn Lumberio. Ayan, talagang maraming nagmamahal sa atin. I really appreciate it. Ginagawa kong mas maaga to Alam ko marami dyan, mga followers nila, Christian Esguerra, etc. Ayan. Bahala na kayo, manood na kayo sa kanya mamaya. I need to finish this. Balikan ko yung teacher duties ko. Ayan, submission ng grades ng mga estudyante natin. So, balikan ko yung mga teacher duties ko. So, I said I'll do this quite quickly and then go. But before that, I have to do an interview. Alright, thank you very much. God bless. Maraming salamat.